L. Ron Howard wanted to start a cult.
L. Ron Hubbard.
That's 100% L. Ron Howard.
It's 100% L. Ron Hubbard.
It's 100% L. Ron Howard. 100%. What you gotta do is break him down. You gotta L. Ron Howard him.
That's not a thing. So much about Scientology except the guy's name. That's the easiest part of it. What was it? Did he invent Scientology like after he directed Backdraft in Apollo 13?
No, that was Ron Howard. I'm talking about L. Ron Howard.
Oh my God.
Guys, can we please stop?
Good afternoon. How you doing? Happy Wednesday afternoon. Hey, I wanted to get on here real quickly. We have some, the last 2 days on SPTV have been, oh, shit. Wait a second. Hey! Hang tight. Oh, there's so much to check. I hope that's better. And I'm not going to edit that, so thank you for that blunder. We'll add that to the bloopers reel. I did everything else but set up my mic. Anyways, hey, I want to get on here because the last day and a half has been some tragic but shocking and exciting, and I don't want to use exciting the wrong way, because what I mean is more revealing information with Mike Brown coming out with his story about his mom Rosemary and the whole process he went through to get her out and to make at least the last part of her life enjoyable and pleasant in his surroundings with her. And there's a whole story to that. So I'm just going to refer back because I'm just going to give a little synopsis on it and some points that I wanted to make regarding this story and some anecdotes regarding it. Obviously, yesterday, there was a fantastic interview with Mike Rinder, Claire Headley, and Mike Brown, which you will need to go see. That's on Mike Rinder's channel, and that's on Claire Headley's Blown for Good channel. Mike also recapped a bunch of that information today with Aaron Smith-Levin on a live, which was wonderful. And he also covered a lot of those same details again, and going to finish off his story tomorrow, I believe, 4 p.m. West Coast time, Pacific Coast time. So if you didn't already hear about that, please check on theirs just to make sure that's the right time. But it is going to, he's going to finish his story, and it is quite a story. And again, it has a happy ending. So that's the good news. I personally, for a number of reasons, I can relate to Mike's story. One point is that he's obviously a friend of mine for a very, very long time. We knew each other in LA before we were teenagers. We grew up with each other at the ranch for a few years, and then we worked with each other for a long time at Golden Air Productions, going through the highs and the lows. And of course, being that it is Scientology, most of it was lows and horrific experiences. And I hope to get him on at one point, because we will talk about those. But I want to stay focused on elder abuse. And I got to be honest with you. So I've heard Mike's story before. He told it to me around the same time that he actually rescued Rosemary. And up until that point, I got to be honest, I grew up in a cult. I didn't even know there was such a thing as elder abuse. I did not know that was an occurrence. It never really came into my space or my mind, is that that's something that actually happened. So I was quite taken aback. Now, I may have forgot some of the details, so I absolutely did watch the interview both yesterday and today again, so I could get every detail of it. And even previously knowing that story, I was shocked out of my mind on it. And for a number of reasons. There's just the straight up horrific facts of elder abuse. And we're going to cover the 7 points that make elder abuse, because I want to make sure at the end of this very quick live that anyone that has relatives that are still in the Sea Org and Scientology, that they're aware of this, because that would be, to me, one of the most important things after what the Aftermath Foundation and Mike is already doing about the situation. Because I have a father and a mother that are still in Scientology and the Sea Org. And both would be susceptible to this sort of behavior, this sort of pressure to take whatever they have left, whatever minimal savings they have, and reg them to put that towards Scientology for whatever reason. Now, you also have to understand that when you are in the C organization, the ecclesiastical arm of Scientology, separate from Scientology, Scientology is a paid religion. You pay to get processing. You pay to move up the total bridge to freedom. That's a normal occurrence. Now, are there abuses with that? Absolutely. There are people that take out second mortgages on their house and way overcharge their credit and do things that financially make no sense in order to pay for Scientology, with the promise that the higher they move up Scientology, the more competent in life they'll be, therefore the more income they'll make, which in my estimation, 99% of the time, that doesn't happen. It may happen 1% of the time. But in the C organization, if you're a staff member there, when you sign that billion-year contract, you're doing it under the idea that every process and every parcel of the Scientology information will be provided to you free of charge for your service over 1 billion years for almost no pay and slave type hours. So when I heard that there were sleazeball, slimy, despicable human beings inside the C organization that were power regging an elderly lady who was fighting with a heart condition to get her to pay for services which should already be provided based on her contract. And not only are they not doing it because out of some sort of place, maybe deep in their heart, they care for her and they want her to have it, they're doing it just to get this little line on a statistical graph to look up for that week so they can show the executives in the Sea Org and David Miscavige specifically, hey, we're booming or expanding Scientology. Let that sink in a little bit. These regs are doing it just for optics purposes. They're doing it just to look good. They're not even themselves really benefiting financially as much as a normal person would be for selling an item to someone. I do believe, and I was never a reg, I do believe they do get some percentage of that money reg. I'm not sure what that percentage is, so I don't want to speak to that. But they're really doing it for optical purposes, just so it looks like these stats are going up. Now, Mike covered many things between the horde conditions inside the Pacific base, the Big Blue building, which would be no air conditioning, bunk beds that are so tight together. And I'm telling you this from living in that building, that are so tight together that you have to roll out of bed to get out of bed. You cannot sit up in bed because you're going to hit your head, unless, of course, you're on the top bunk. Okay, you have an elderly lady north of 60 that is having to live in that sort of condition with no air conditioning, no fresh air. She has a heart condition. You're not taking her to look after that, which is actually a very, very simple activity. How hard would it be to coordinate once a month, bi-weekly, to take this lady to the doctor to make sure she's okay, to check up on her, to do these sort of things just to make sure she's healthy and happy? This is how much that organization does not care about people. You are expendable. They only use you as long as they need you. And the sick part about it is that when you're there, you don't know that and you don't understand that. You really think that these people care for you so much because you're so valuable to them. But really, you're just another piece on the board that can be moved around whenever and wherever they need it. And what Mike describes as far as the treatment of his mom goes is by far one of the worst things I have ever heard about the Sea Org and Scientology. And I have a lot of experience. I've seen the beatings. I've seen David Miscavige hit people. I've seen other people be harassed. I've seen people be cornered in an office or a room. I've seen people be yelled at. I've seen people be humiliated in front of 300 people. All of that as bad as it is, still pales a little bit in comparison to what you could do to someone that really does not have the faculties to stop you or the ability because of either physical impairment or mental impairment at that point. That to me is grotesque. And I am going to later on get into the child trafficking part of Scientology. It's going to take me a little bit to get the research and get some photos together for that so I can speak intelligently about it. But I wanted to talk about this because this is something that is, I'm generally a happy person. I really am. This put me so off yesterday listening to this, and my heart went out so much to Mike for doing this for his mom, because I had personal experience with his mom. For years, she was a caretaker and someone that would drive my brother, myself, Mike back and forth to see our parents, would bring food for us, would take us places. And she was nothing but maybe the sweetest, just one of the sweetest ladies you're ever going to meet. And so when I hear about that sort of treatment, it sets me off. And it gets me thinking, I don't know what the numbers are right now. I haven't been connected to someone in Scientology Sea Org for 10, 15 plus years. And I wonder how many elders there are still around there now, what age they're getting to, and how they're being treated. And the purpose of this video is to talk about that for a little bit, because what I want to say is, if you do have a mom, a dad, a grandparent, or even a relative that's still there right now, know that Mike's story is just one of possibly many that are going to continue to occur unless you try to contact them or say something. Now, I also want to give a shout out to whoever Mike's relatives are. I don't know who you are. I've never met you. I only know Mike and his mom. But if you really did find out what was happening to Rosemary and make a point to contact Mike when he was in Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever he was defending this country, bravo to you. Like, that is unbelievable. And thank you for doing that. And I at least have the comfort of knowing this. Both Foster's family, who I'm in connection with, who I talk to on a regular basis, and both Barbara's family, who's my stepmother, who is still in the Sea Org, both of them would never hesitate a second to call me and let me know if something had happened to my father, if something had happened to my stepmother, Barbara. Not in a second. So I know, and of course, no matter what, and I've talked about my photos being removed from pictures. I've talked about Foster letting me go and no longer really considering me his son because of my dissatisfaction with Scientology and the Sea Org. But if I knew my dad was in trouble or was hurt, or if Barbara was, I would be there in a second. And I know I have that. So I guess my only message is if you know someone or a relative to someone that's in Scientology, their Sea Org, and you hear something or you can do something, please do that, because the thing that gets me most is the thought that someone who's dedicated their whole life to, to something that they believe they're really helping people with, and the end result is a person walking into their hospital room to let them know that they can just die, and that would be it, scares me. And I don't know how else to explain it. It's the thing that troubles me almost more than anything else. So for lack of a better word, it definitely triggered me. So I'm asking, if you do know people, if you do know ex-Sea Org members, if you know Scientology staff members, if you know anyone and you hear something, please make it a point to reach out immediately and let them know, so that people have a chance to, if it's too late, say goodbye. Because Scientology and the Sea Org will absolutely let a family member pass away and die, and out of pure vengeance, and vindictiveness, they would not let their son, their daughter, even their parents know about it just so they could not get their last goodbyes. So I'm asking you, if you do know someone or somebody, please make that a top priority. I want to also then just bounce in for the educational part of it, because I've obviously done a little bit of reading on this today. I want to make sure we list out what the different types of elder abuse actually are, because again, this wasn't even on my radar until Mike mentioned it to me as a subject. And that comes part and parcel with growing up in a cult. There's some things that don't ever even occur to me. So we're just gonna look at that real quickly. And then I think we'll end off after that. I know there's some lives happening at 4:00, and I want to make sure again that you either watch the interviews from yesterday, today, and please tune in tomorrow, because you need to hear the end of this story. The good part is it ended well. So let me just pop this thing up real fast. Okay, so let's just cover the 7 types of elder abuse, and I'll relate it. I'll relate it to Mike's story, because again, that's the subject I have the most reality with right at this particular moment. First, we have neglect. One that is just systemic in the C organization would be neglect, because again, once you are not pulling your weight to them, you're a dead weight. You are just holding people down. So they are going to do the minimal amount they can with you, because anything they do with you is going to take away from their overall mission or whatever it may be. So neglect is a big one. And Mike detailed that so thoroughly, whether it was no air conditioning or someone whose oxygen level was dropping so much and they needed extra oxygen just to even operate on a normal basis. Rosemary was not provided that. Now, let's remember, you can test your oxygen levels with a tiny device that you put on your finger. So it's really not hard to find out if someone is getting enough oxygen. It's just a matter of caring. And the Sea Org, Scientology, David Miscavige, and any of his minions do not care. Number 2, physical abuse. That can fall under neglect as well. I think number 2 more specifically is in regards to either hitting or abusing an elder person physically. I don't remember Mike covering that, so I don't think he did, but that is something to look out for. That is absolutely something to watch for. I think that's very common or a somewhat common occurrence in old folk homes, or at least ones, and I don't want to speak for all of them because obviously there's some good ones out there, but in homes that are understaffed or whatever it may be, that is a sometimes occurrence. 3, sexual abuse. I don't need to elaborate on that one. 4, abandonment. Again, that goes back to neglect. Abandonment would be when Mike explained how I think Rosemary was bedridden for a while, and if one of the other elderly ladies had a chance, she could go pick up a meal and bring it up to Rosemary if need be. That's abandonment. Convincing her that her son, Mike, is not worth talking to, even though that's the one person besides some of her immediate relatives that can actually do something to help her out, that's abandonment. 5, emotional, that's a typo on my part, I apologize, or physiological abuse. Unquestionable, that happened. Specifically, if we talk about one of the main things was the financial abuse, which comes up later, but if you've never been hard sold or pressured by multiple people in a room to buy something by having their hands slammed on the table, trying to appeal to your good side, good cop, bad cop type scenario, then you don't know how abusive that may be, especially to someone that's already battling with physical deficiencies. That is a horrible scenario. And I'm willing to bet, even though I've not spoken to Rosemary myself, and I'll ask Mike about this, that she probably just gave up at one point because it was easier to say yes and let go of the money than it was to stay fighting that battle in her condition. 6, financial abuse. I think I covered that already. Financial abuse. You got nothing when you leave the Sea Org or Scientology. You get $500 if you're lucky. To then take someone who managed somehow by some stroke of luck to have some amount of money, whether it be because she's older and she was getting, and again, the words escape me because I don't know what all the systems are. I grew up in a cult. I apologize. She had some money. For the church that doesn't pay her enough to even survive, that overworks her to then think they have a right to take that money, is absurd to me. And then to take it to give her a service she's already been promised for free is even worse. And I hope, and I think Mike Rinder posted in his blog the names of the individuals, the names of the registrars, the salespeople that did this to Rosemary. I think he posted in his blog. But I hope to God the FBI or whomever is investigating this finds those people and prosecutes them to the best extent they can. 7, self-neglect. I do not believe Rosemary had self-neglect, other than she was convinced that she should not talk to her own son, Mike Brown, who I grew up with and never showed anything but love for his mother. Their connection was quite possibly the strongest I've ever seen between a son and his daughter, at least while I was in the Sea Org or while I was in Scientology. And I think that's really all I have to say about that. I'm just, again, asking you, please, if you know anyone, if you hear anything about someone being hospitalized, an elder being hospitalized, about any sort of fraudulent activity with money or taking money from people that have relatives in the Scientology Sea Org, please report it. You know how to contact Mike Rinder. You know how to contact Aaron Smith-Levin. You know how to contact pretty much anyone on this network. Claire Headley, please do that, so that some of us may have a chance to either have that final moment with our loved ones or stop them from having any chance of a decent life when they possibly do leave Scientology or the Sea Org. With that, I can bounce on real quickly and see if there's any questions if any of you have, and I'm willing to answer those. Let me just throw up my my little question section so you don't have to deal with the dead space. Hey, all right. As I imagined, there's probably not a whole lot of questions. I was really just talking at you. It wasn't really content to have questions about, but I did start 3 comments that I thought were relevant, and I want to make sure I acknowledge those real quickly. And for the lovely, I'm assuming, lady that did write a comment today about me looking at the comments and snickering or laughing and then not reading them out loud. Yes, I do that all the time, and I actually did appreciate your feedback. In no way was it inappropriate. I thought it was pretty funny. It's something that I do. So I'm going to try to put those ones up because believe it or not, what you guys do, your comments, what you say, and your questions do mean a lot. And it actually and really helps us talk about and alleviate some of the pain in these instances. So let's start off with Juliana Bittencourt, Scientologist. I've been finding it too triggering for me to follow the stories on elder abuse closely, but keep it up, guys. Love. Juliana, I understand that. I totally understand that. And if it is too triggering or too hard, turn it off when you're in a better spot, when you're in a better place. Go ahead and go back and watch it. But Mike's story was very, very deep, and it was hard to watch. It was hard to watch. And I'm sure a bunch of people have experienced a reality with something like that that's happened to a family member. So I totally understand you. And yeah, I get you on that. All right. Pam Abernathy. Love you, Sterling. Did you see both days from Mike Brown? Hope Osa and little Captain Wavy Davy are very nervous. Blessings. Thank you, Pam, for the message. I appreciate that. I did see both. Mike's a close friend, so I watch his content very intently. And like I said yesterday, I'm so appreciative of the fact that he's doing it. I think his story lends so much. And also, he was my contemporary while I was there. He's a person I lived and grew up with. So just hearing him talk about experiences that we had together is therapeutic in itself. And I hope to get more of our friends and people that we grew up with from our time period in that cult to come forward and speak too. But I'm not pressuring you, because it's your life and you can choose what you want to do with it. There's no pressure, but if you want to, I'm here, and you'll always have a voice with me. You'll always have a voice with Claire. You'll always have a voice with Aaron, with Mike Rinder, with Leah Remini. You'll always have a voice. So thank you so much, Pam. Blow drill. Please, everyone, take care of yourselves. If you're feeling overwhelmed, step away. This will be here when you are ready. I think I know who Blow Drill is. And I think I got your number today, so I'm going to give you a call. Give me maybe a couple days or something. Sometimes I get a little wrapped up in stuff, and today I'm obviously a little emotional. Thank you so much. I think that's a great message, and he's totally right. Take it bit and piece. Don't rush it all at once if it's too much. But have the satisfaction of knowing that Rosemary is with Mike right now. She's with Mike. And that's a happy ending. No matter what else happens, that is a happy ending. And anyone else that has parents there, I hope you at least get that satisfaction. With that, guys, I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much. If you were here and you watched it, please watch the rest of it tomorrow with Mike and Claire, and have a wonderful evening. I'll talk to you guys later.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?